call to order the city council meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Sylvia.
Mayor Clark,
Here.
Council President Robinson,
Here.
Councilor Henderson,
Here.
Councilor King,
Here.
Councilor Kuiper,
Here.
Councilor Harris,
Here.
Councilor Cook.
Here.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam Mayor, I do have some
Agenda.
Scrivener. Oh, excuse me, never mind.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda is approved. To consent agenda, I believe Council President Robinson has some Scrivener error corrections.
Yes, I do. I brought them to the attention of Sylvia, but they are on page 5 of our packet. In the paragraph talking, first paragraph of my discussion, third line down in that paragraph should be update to the master plan. One I didn't discuss with her was the next paragraph after 2012 and 13 should read, then things have, and delete has that. And there was one more I forgot.
Any other Scrivener errors? Okay, Scrivener errors are so noted. Do I have a motion to approve consent?
I move to approve consent with the Scrivener's errors corrected.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have our first presentation is the proclamation proclaiming May 18th through 23rd as Emergency Medical Services Week. So I will, by Metro West. Welcome.
Good evening. How are you guys all doing?
Great.
My name is Thomas Noble. I am a supervisor of Metro West Ambulance. Thank you for letting us be here today to proclaim EMS Week, which, as you said, is 18th to the 23rd. I didn't say here that way, so you guys didn't hear me. So yeah, it's 18th through the 23rd, and I am really grateful that you guys let me be here. We are very honored to be an EMS provider in Washington County, especially in the city of Sherwood. We've been around since 1953, so is that 62 years or so. So EMS Week is really important to us because it allows us to honor and recognize not only us as EMS and ambulance companies, but also our entire EMS family, such as fire and police, who we work side by side with constantly. And as providers of EMS, we are entrusted with the emergency care of citizens, not only for here, but for the entire Washington County. We take that very seriously, and that's very important to us. And we are very honored that you guys allow us to do that here and throughout the county. So on behalf of all EMS workers throughout the county, especially Metro West, I will present you guys with this plaque. So it says Sherwood City Council for your continued support of emergency medical services personnel in the city of Sherwood, as well as this opportunity to invite everyone here to a barbecue that we're having on May 21st from 4 to 7 at our headquarters in Hillsborough. So this would be just a barbecue. I think it's kind of Hawaiian themed, but I don't think it's like you have to dress for like luau or anything like that. You don't have to come in a hula skirt or anything like that. Those lights would be face painting, music, slip and slide kind of thing, shaved ice, huli chicken. Not sure what that is, but it sounds good. So not sure who I can give this to.
All right. Thank you. Well, and I will read your proclamation to declare it EMS Week, the week of May 18th, 23rd, 2015 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, and others. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week, now, therefore, I, Chrisanna Clark, Mayor of the City of Sherwood, Oregon, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 18th through the 23rd, 2015, as Emergency Medical Services Week. With the theme EMS, One Mission, One Team, I encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Thank you
Perfect.
very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, come get your certificate. And thank you for your very kind plaque. Normally, we give this, so that's pretty great. Thank you. All right. All right, and we have a second proclamation proclaiming May 10th through the 16th, 2015 as National Police Week in Sherwood. Did you want to comment on that?
Well, since the mic's on, sure.
Uh-oh.
I think this dates back to 1962, if I'm not mistaken, presidential declaration declaring May 15th as Peace Officer Memorial Day and the week in which that falls as National Police Week. So obviously a very important thing to the men and women that serve not only in Sherwood but everywhere. And the city does a great job for the month of May and has the banners up recognizing National Police Week. So it's a neat thing.
Thank you, Chief. I will read the proclamation proclaiming National Police Week, May 10th through the 16th, 2015. Whereas since 1962, May 15th has been designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which the date falls as National Police Week. And whereas the men and women of the Sherwood Police Department provide a vital public service by safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the Sherwood community. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, protecting them against violence and disorder, and protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the safety of our citizens is the foremost goal of local, state, and national governments, and whereas the ability to exercise the rights and freedoms as set forth by our forefathers depends upon law and order. And whereas law enforcement is one of the few chosen professions that require the willingness to lay down one's life to protect others. And whereas the daily performance of a police officer's normal duty is dangerous, stress-filled, often unappreciated, and requires a person with a supportive family. And now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Sherwood City Council, do hereby proclaim May 10th through the 16th, 2015 as National Police Week in Sherwood and urge all citizens to recognize and thank law enforcement officers for the dedicated service they provide. So I'll give this to you, Chief. Okay, we have 2 Eagle Scout recognitions. Do we have any of the scouts here? Okay, we didn't get an RSVP, and so, okay, I'm going to do this first, and then I'm going to go back. And so I'm going to read the certificate, and we will send the certificates to the Eagle Scouts. So for the first one is Jared M. Denton. On behalf of the City of Sherwood and the Sherwood City Council, we congratulate you on your outstanding achievement of attaining the rank of an Eagle Scout. To Nathan Christensen, again, on behalf of the City of Sherwood and the Sherwood City Council, we congratulate you on your outstanding achievement of attaining the rank of Eagle Scout. This takes a lot of work and preparation and also a project, and so I want to congratulate these 2 fine gentlemen, and we will get the achievement awards to them. So we had that is we're going to sneak in the agenda another proclamation because we just can't get enough proclamations because we do not want to miss out on this opportunity to proclaim Municipal Clerks Recorders Week, May 3rd through the 9th, 2015. So I'm going to embarrass Sylvia and read this because that's what we do. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas the municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international profession organizations, and whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, Sherwood Mayor Chrisanna Clark, do hereby recognize the week of May 3rd through May 9th, 2015 as the 46th Annual Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Thank you very much, and I will now sign.
Thank you, Sylvia. You do a ton for me, I know, so I appreciate you.
I will.
Thank
This is Sylvia. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. We'll have Sylvia Day in the middle there somewhere. Okay, we have an Arbor Day report. Kirsten Allen.
Evening, Mayor Clark and councilors. I'm here to report about Tree City USA. Tree City USA is a nationally recognized program sponsored by the National Arbor Day Foundation and facilitated by the Oregon Forestry Department. So the city participates in this program. There are some criteria that we have to follow to do that. And one of those is a proclamation similar to what you read. You did about a month ago, and then we had an Arbor Day tree plant. And one of the questions that I was asked was, what do the trees look like now that they have been planted? So before you have a picture of the trees that were planted in 2006 at Middleton Elementary. And I went out yesterday and took this picture. There you go. So 10 years later, 9 years later, this is what we have. And this is why we plant trees in Sherwood.
That's right.
So it's really a beautiful sight out there, especially when you compare the two together. So can you go back? Sure, no problem. So you can see those trees are just right. And it took me a while. I went out there and I saw it, and I looked at these trees and I thought, there's no way these are the same trees that were planted 10 years ago.
Amazing.
And so I talked to some staff that had been there, and I did some comparisons, and I looked at multiple pictures, and finally I said, this has got to be where they are. So that's an incredible thing. And so there you go. This year we celebrated our 10th year as Tree City USA, and because it was our 10th year, we want to do something a little special. So we made these bookmarks, and if you see in these little hearts, these are made from recycled paper that we took from our office, and we made paper and stuck seeds in them. And the seeds inside are forget-me-nots. So the kids took these home, and we're supposed to plant their heart and remember the trees with the forget-me-not flowers. So I have one of those for each of you. I'll bring those in a moment. But what I really want to show off is a couple things here. We received a special flag that has a 10 on it that we can start flying.
Nice.
Oh, how nice.
So
Excellent.
for 10 years of Tree City USA. And
We've been
again,
flying that flag at Stella Olson Park,
Oh.
and that's probably where we will fly it because we don't have enough flagpoles here at City Hall. So
And then also that we have proudly been displaying in the planning department is this nice award that we received from the foundation as well. So there you go. This year for our tree plant, we went to Sherwood View Estates. I was told that we planted over the sledding hill. So we'll have to see what happens in 10 years with that. But it's been a really great program. You can see that the trees make a difference here in Sherwood, and we're glad to support this program. So, there you go.
Thank you so much.
So
have it.
I want to just say one thing. This program, like many programs, there's usually a lot of work behind the scenes, and Kirsten has done a phenomenal job of keeping this program going each year. There is a lot of work that goes into it. Not every city can achieve the Tree City designation. It's not a given every year. There's things you need to abide by, and I just want to publicly thank Kirsten for doing the job she does on this. So.
I want to thank her as well. You do an amazing job. We had a great group this year at the Sherwood View Estates as in the past. And what's fun is we have different people every year and some of the same, but everyone is always excited to do it. Kids, young, old. And this year we even hit some salamanders because it's kind of a boggy area. So it was a little dicey, but it was super fun. And you make it that way. So thank you very much. Okay, and so we have citizen comments next. I have RJ Kloss.
Robert James Claus, 22211 Southwest Pacific Highway. And I simply want to make a comment. It has no reflection on the staff, but I'm moving along in a certain matter that some things need to be mentioned on public record. First of all, you understand you used the term stakeholders. Now, I was lucky enough, I was at APA when Frank Soule was the head of it, introduced that term. I was there, frankly, on behalf of Local 639, Tri-Trades, 4 states, AFL-CIO. And Ed Sullivan, as I remember, Preston Gates at the time was there. And he introduced the term stakeholders. Now, we had heard that term at Berkeley, and we were a little worried about it. Now, the reason is fairly simple. When you structurally move something, you have caused certain decisions by that structure. When you designate people as stakeholders, you have brought them into the process. Now, probably 1911, but clearly by 1927, the Supreme Court had set the stage for that by giving unlimited use in the police powers. By doing that, they said as long as you're promoting health, safety, morals, aesthetics, the state just had to allege they had done it, and then you had to, under rational relations, prove it hadn't been done. Now that shifted American law, where if you did not comply with this, you were a criminal by definition, and you carried the burden of defeating it. It was the change of American law. The problem is, once you move a staff into a position, or anyone, that they are funded by fees, not taxes, they become a stakeholder in interest. Now, that introduces a potential conflict of interest, and we have subtle ones here, as the very good John Kitzhopper just discovered. You don't do certain things because you do have a conflict of interest. Are you aware that in the last major sales, the structure has been set up where the staff has taken more money directly than the landowners have from your projects? Now, it's in your budget. Right now, all you get is enough to cover your PERS. And everybody but the University of Oregon gets that. That was the last thing Kitzhopper did. Now, what am I trying to tell you? All of a sudden, you're developing a structure where certain densities start to favor certain decisions. I would advise you, particularly when you get benefits in your retirement in PERS and the likes for council or government things, to start looking at that, because that can cause problems and it can force decisions. Once those decisions become structural, they're benefiting named people. When you have an apartment house go in, that the staff's 18% is more than the landowners are getting, you've gotten where we were with LIDs when we almost bankrupt the city. Do what you're going to do. Ethics are getting aware of that now, and to become a little more conscious of it. And I don't bring that to you because I expect you to do anything. You're doing a good job. We're planting trees. We're doing a lot of things. But I'm going to tell you, if you think that that isn't going to become an issue, you're not looking at what happened to some of your past council members. Some of us have had enough of people sitting where structural decisions favor their property to the figure of thousands of dollars. And you could turn around under the same conditions and not get there yourself. Now, everybody likes the 14th Amendment and so on, but that's not what I'm concerned about in Oregon, because it's administrative law you have to worry about. And I know I've gone on my 4 minutes. I appreciate it. I'm not doing anything. I'm just telling you that now is the time that these administrative fights will start occurring, and they are occurring already. You just don't know about them.
Thank you, Mr. Combs.
Thank you.
Did we have any additional?
One more.
You should have two.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jim Butler?
Hi there. So, my name's Jim Butler. I'm the store director at the New Hagen's, right about a mile away. And my plan was just to come here to introduce myself and introduce Hagen as a company to the city of Sherwood, and kind of just explain to you who we are, what we plan to do in the future, and how we can involve ourselves with the city going forward. Basic background information on myself. I've been an Oregonian my entire life. I'm an Eagle Scout, so whoever is in charge of passing on to the Eagle Scouts, tell them nice work from Hagen. Went to college at Oregon State University, and I was with Albertsons for 14 years. Started off as a box boy and made my way through the ranks, and now I'm here with Hagen. Since I've been here in January, we converted the Albertsons over to Hagen on April 4th. And since I've been here, what I see in the community so far is a variety of local fresh products, us being super close to all the wineries around the area and all the farmers and everything. I think the potential for us to bring in a ton of products into our store is more than I've known. The number of events that happen in the community, the type of events and number of events. I think there's more events here in the city than other cities I've been a part of in the past, so I think that's awesome going forward. The convenience of the locations, safety, the law enforcement's presence, clearly marked sidewalks, crosswalks. There's a basic strong sense of community that I see here. And Hagen picked the Sherwood store in this whole acquisition, I think for those reasons and more. Hagen isn't going to sell our store. There are plans for more remodels and phases of the actual total Hagen conversion, specifically for our store going forward. There are 5 core values that Hagen has. One is the commitment to the employees. Being local means having familiar faces working in the local stores, and Hagen kept all of the Albertsons associates, including myself, in order to maintain that local feeling. The second core value would be homemade quality. Again, products made from scratch, handcrafted recipes. Partnering with the local vendors around here allows us to bring that stuff into the store. Genuine service. Again, how convenient and safe it is to get to our store. Our associates are friendly, engaged, personal, and knowledgeable. And we want the customer to have the perfect experience from the parking lot to the exit doors every time that they come in. And every aspect of the business, whether that be the checkout or pricing accuracy or the quality of products, is designed towards the customer experience in order to keep them coming back. The fourth core value would be sustainable value, so the environment and the local conservation. how we impact the environment and also how the suppliers impact the environment. So we're partnering with suppliers that are also environmentally friendly. If I had more time, I would go more into that, but I don't. And then the fifth and most important would be the local community. Partnering with the community, again, with the local farmers and the wineries. When you look at Hagen website, the community tab is in the top left-hand corner of the website. It's not hidden on the bottom part of the webpage in size 7 font. It's right there. It's something that we want to be known for. We want to be in the communities. So again, that connection. Again, we have a local community meeting tomorrow at Sherwood High School at 5 o'clock as a way to inform vendors how to get into our store and how staff members like myself can reach out to them to tell them how to get into our store. Some partnering examples. Earth Day was on the 22nd. We partnered with Hopkins Elementary. We gave them free tree saplings. They gave us a bag that we hung in the store on display, so you guys can see that. We also donated as a company $40,000 to national parks. Crater Lake National Park was one of those, and 3 more in the Northwest Washington area. We're partnering with the Italian Day in Wine Country. We're finalizing details with the Friar Trot. We're in the process of getting involved with the Robin Hood Festival. $1,000 has been donated from our store here in Sherwood to Helping Hands Food Pantry. So again, when I look at the City of Sherwood mission statement, where it states the City of Sherwood will provide services and infrastructure to support the highest quality of life for our residents, businesses, and visitors in a fiscally responsible manner, and the values that you guys have, where it states quality services, fiscal responsibility, citizen partnership, community pride, community partnerships, community livability, I see a lot of similar values that the city has that we have as well. So again, if I had more time, I would go forward a little bit more, but I'm excited for the opportunities in the future. Albertsons did a pretty decent job with partnering with the community. Living in that world for 14 years and seeing what Hagen has already done and what we're planning to do, I don't think any of the competitors in the city will be able to do what we're going to do. And I believe it's going to be incredibly beneficial mutually for both Hagen and the City of Sherwood going forward, and I'm excited to be a part of that. So again, I just wanted to introduce myself to the city and hope that there'll be more meetings like this going forward.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
coming and for giving us all the information, and welcome to our city.
Thank you.
Yes. Go ahead.
So I really appreciate you coming tonight because I've been very excited to see Hagen come to. I've been a Hagen shopper since one of the first stores was opened in Tannisbourne years ago. One of the concerns I have though for your lot is the potential removal of the light at your entry. Has there been any thought by this chain on that impact?
There has been thought, and there's talks going forward as how we as a business are gonna, handle that. Again, partnering with the community and seeing what we can do. I think from a customer standpoint, where in order for us to be successful with our locality and bringing vendor products in, the convenience and the factor is huge. Again, the safety factor is huge, as I mentioned before, where if there was a traffic light taken away, it increases the speed in front of the store of all these vehicles, semis including, and there's a movie theater right across the street. Do we want to have kids getting the candy at our store 75% off cheaper than the movie theater store and bolting across the street because they're not going to go down to 99 and wait for that light to happen. But again, from a convenience standpoint, if that light was to go away, it would be incredibly inconvenient for the customers to come in. We wouldn't be able to satisfy them in the way that we would want to, and to better the community by allowing these vendors that live here in the city to come into our store.
All right, thank you for coming in. And I have one more, Anthony Bevel.
Anthony, is this about the medical marijuana ordinance later tonight?
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure you were,
The public hearing.
the public hearing later.
Because you can comment on the public hearing if you want.
Okay, I'll wait.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll hold this for the public hearing. That's fine. Okay, we'll move on to new business, Resolution 2015-046, authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract with Bricks Paving Northwest for the Sunset Boulevard and April Court Pavement Rehabilitation Project. Craig.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is part of our pavement management program for the budget year 14-15. We're just running a little later in the year than normally during the summer months last year. The projects are Sunset Boulevard from Highway 99 to Heatherwood Lane, as well as April Court from Upper Roy Street to the cul-de-sac. We're also doing a water line, starting probably in the next 2 weeks out there, so that paving would happen afterwards, and that's part of the reason why we're doing the water line. These are identified as roads that, one, we need to completely reconstruct is the April Court, and we need to treat it with cement to bring up the base to rebuild the road, as well as we've caught the Sunset in time that we only are going to do a grind and overlay on that one. So we're asking for a contract for $339,569.88 with a 15% contingency for not to exceed $390,505.36. There was 3 bidders on this project. It was advertised in the DJC, as well as there was a pre-bid mandatory meeting on the project.
Any questions, council?
Was this the lowest bid?
This is the lowest bid, yes.
And by how much?
The next bid up was $28,000 more. The next bid after that was $39,973, and the next bid after that was $69,000. Engineer's estimate was $40,000 more than what it came in at.
Yeah, is this going to be using the equipment where it grinds and lays it down to kind of move through, except for those areas that need to be a little?
So
Yeah,
on
grind up
Sunset Boulevard will be a grind and overlay. So they'll grind it down about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and then they'll repave it. There is a couple sections that we're going to have to rebuild the base at the intersection at Timbrel. April Court is, they come in and they grind it all out. They pre-treat with cement. They put a cement base in for a road base, and then they'll pave over the top of that. So kind of 2 different operations going on there.
And is that the normal accepted process for?
Yeah. You can either build it with base rock, or the April Court one, you can either build it with base rock, or you can use the cement treated. And that's the same process we went through on Lincoln Street.
Okay.
And one more question, Craig. How long is the project expected to last?
We're hoping to have it all done by both projects by the end of June.
Oh.
So there will be 1 lane of traffic on Sunset when we do that project. So it's not going to be closed. And April Court, it'll be some disruptions to the property owners there, but they will be notified, and we'll be working with them on that.
And when will the paving project begin again? Oh,
Probably
11th?
within the
May
next
11th?
2 weeks. The contract will be ready, if you guys authorize, it'll be ready to be signed tomorrow. And then they'll still, they got a couple things to do, and we'll want to put notices, stuff out on Sunset. And the water line project will probably start in the next 2 weeks, and once it's completed, then we'll come in and pave.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve Resolution 2015-046.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you.
Right.
Resolution 2015-047, approving the intergovernmental agreement with Metro for Solid Waste Community Enhancement Program. Joe Gall.
Mayor and Council, this is an IGA that really comes out of an opportunity. Metro has had a community enhancement program since 1988. They recently revised that program. Metro, as you probably know, regulates the solid waste industry in the region. The program before covered 3 transfer stations in the region, one in Portland, one in Oregon City, and one in Forest Grove. And it was a 50-cent per ton charge at those transfer stations. Metro has upped that rate to $1 per ton, and then also broadened it to 3 facilities that were not part of this program, one in Troutdale, one in Wilsonville, and our facility, Pride, will now be subject to this as part of their franchise. So as of July 1st, $1 per ton will be collected at the Pride facility in this community enhancement program. By partnering with Metro in this program, as those dollars collected would come back to Sherwood to be used here. In your packet, we had a work session a few months ago. Metro came and talked about it. There are new rules in terms of governing that, in terms of how we use the funds. We've segregated that money in my proposed budget. We're proposing about $70,000 in the first year based on previous tonnage that we would be able to use for a variety of projects in the Sherwood area. My proposed budget targets both enhanced recycling in city facilities and parks, which meets the criteria, and then also development of the first community garden in the city of Sherwood. So this is basically formalizing a relationship with an IGA, a relationship with Metro, so we could participate and operate the program. And as I stressed in the staff report, if we don't partner, Metro retains the money, and they'll find other uses for it, and they won't come back to Sherwood. So, any questions on the program or the resolution itself?
It doesn't cost us anything, right?
No, it doesn't cost us anything. I mean, there'll be some time for staff projects in terms of putting those projects together in terms of utilizing the funds, but those staff costs can be paid for by the program. So yeah, it's money that Forest Grove, for example, has hosted a facility for a long time and has benefited from the program. And I think Metro wanted to level a playing field and treat all transfer stations in the region the same way. And the other important note, I think I got this question, the money collected, some of that money will be from Sherwood, but the transfer station is larger. The area where the garbage and recycling comes into the station is a much greater area than the city limits of Sherwood. So the fees will be collected not only from Sherwood residents, but folks outside of the city limits of Sherwood. So,
Thank you. Well, I think that we are particularly fortunate to have the opportunity to participate in this program. This checks off 2 of my projects that I wanted to bring forward to the citizens of Sherwood as your mayor, and now we have a funding source for it. So that's pretty fantastic, both our community gardens and a recycle program in our city buildings and parks. We have the opportunity, only certain things can this money be used for, and those 2 things are a couple on the list. And so it's kind of an ask and you shall receive moment. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I think that this is a fantastic opportunity for our citizens.
Council President, you look like you had a question.
Yes,
I
did you
did have a question.
Go.
Actually, clarification. When we had our work session on this topic, there was some discussion about how the committee would be set up that runs this program. And so it looks like, according to the Exhibit A, that it shall be the mayor, CEO of the city, 3 citizens of the city appointed by the mayor, and the Metro councilor, or alternatively, a Metro councilor.
The alternative
I'm
is
confused on the alternative.
you will
It's the
be
council.
you will be the committee to select the projects formally
Okay,
with Metro Councilor Dirksen. He would like to participate in that process. So we're not going to create another committee to make the decision. We're going to utilize the alternative, which is you as a council will make the decisions on how the money should be used.
okay. I just didn't know if, yeah, okay.
So
And so our public understands the money has specific abilities for it to be used in certain ways. It can't just be used for any project anywhere. There are parameters, and so that's what the committee will be looking at is, do they fit the parameters? Both community gardens and recycle program fit the parameters of what this money is to be used for.
and what I anticipate happening, assuming the budget gets approved and the dollars are approved in the budget, sometime after the first of the new fiscal year, when we have definitive numbers for the community garden and definitive numbers for the increased recycling, we would bring that back formally to you as a committee to make sure that you want to utilize the funds for those specific projects when we have specific dollar amounts attached to them. So you'll see that down the road as a committee at a later point. So, and it's a new territory for us, so we'll probably get a little bit more routine and in terms of doing this. So.
I have one other question.
Absolutely.
And I just have one other follow-up question. Is that pay out or pay back to the city a monthly? Is that
Quarterly.
Quarterly,
We receive
okay.
payments quarterly from Metro.
okay?
Did anyone else have a question?
I noticed also in the IGA that outside organizations can also apply to use this money.
Correct.
As long as they're a nonprofit, even like an HOA or something can
Yes.
apply to enhance an area. So it's not just something that we could rely on staff. Other people could come and essentially make a grant request, right?
That's correct. What I anticipate is probably doing a public advertisement and notifying folks that we are now part of the program and the funds are available. And you could review outside HOAs and nonprofits that want to utilize the funds as long as they meet the criteria.
That's a great opportunity for enhancement for our whole community.
Are we talking in the city or outside the city?
In the city limits.
Yeah.
Because the service area that I think we discussed would be the city limits. Again, that would be your decision formally as the committee.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
part of what your decision is in terms of after you sign the IGA. And you'll see this again probably early in the fiscal year to kind of put the program together. So
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution 2015-047.
Second? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, council. We now have a public hearing, ordinance 2015-004, amending Chapter 7 of Volume 2 of the Sherwood Comprehensive Plan and adopting the Sherwood Water System Master Plan. Brad Kilby, thank you.
Sylvia, do you need to read the statement?
No, we read the statement at the first hearing for both these ordinances, so I don't need to read the public hearing statement again.
Perfect. It'll save
Lucky
a lot
you.
of time. Thank you, council and mayor. Tonight, you're going to hear the second, this is the second reading, a continuation of our May 21st, right? Meeting on the water system master plan update. So if you remember, the purpose of the plan is to comply with the statewide water program for providing potable water to the citizens. And it's a long-term guidance document. So it identifies the current system and its deficiencies. It provides a plan for upgrades of those facilities and then plans for service area for growth and expansion. And this would be growth and expansion into the Sherwood West area and into the Brookman area and to the Tonkin employment area. It is a 20-year plan. It looks at and identifies the existing deficiencies and says this is how we're going to fix them, and it provides a capital improvement program that looks at those projects that need to be done to maintain the system and then expand the system, and it lines them out and it provides you with a cost estimate of what those improvements would entail. It provides a roadmap. So each year you'll be looking at a capital improvements plan and you'll say, okay, here's the list of the things that Craig would like to do in the water system plan this year or in the water system, and it allows you to prioritize those based on your budget process. And I guess a highlight, because money's always the bottom line for most people, is that the plan itself, this specific plan, identifies about $36.2 million in capital improvements that would be needed to fund it. And of that $36.2 million, only $2.2 million would go to existing customers. The other $34 million would be funded by future growth in the water system plan. So as you remember from the last time, in 2005 this plan was updated, but our comprehensive plan was not updated, which tends to, if you look at our comprehensive plan, tends to have happened in the past quite frequently. So what we're doing as we're updating this plan, the sewer system plan, the stormwater management plan, we would like to update Chapter 7 of this comprehensive plan and just bring into focus the work that they're doing and align it with the policies of the existing comprehensive plan and update the information in there so that it's relevant to today. So what you have before you in your staff report was the comprehensive plan amendments to Chapter 7 of Volume 2. It would update the table of contents. It would update an objective to remove old plan dates and make relevant to the current time period. And it would make minor edits in there, Scribner's edits, or not Scribner's really, but the Unified Sewerage Agency was now Clean Water Services. And what I did was when I was going through these, I went through that chapter and I updated it with information that's relevant to the water system plan, up to the water system plan. I didn't go beyond, I didn't go into the sewer plan and the stormwater plan. We went through a public hearing process, and the Planning Commission has recommended that you approve the water system master plan and the proposed comprehensive plan amendments before you. They do not adjust fees or rates. That would be something that you would be amending at the time that you budget each year. With that, I would conclude my presentation and ask if you have any questions.
Council, did you have any questions? Because this is our second reading of ordinance, need to open up public comment. So I'll open up public comment. Do we have any public that would like to make a comment on this? Ask a question? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. Back to council. Any questions, or do I have a motion?
I'll move we read caption and adopt ordinance 2015-004.
And second it.
Sylvia?
Ordinance 2015-004, amending Chapter 7 of Volume 2 of the Sherwood Comprehensive Plan and adopting the Sherwood Water System Master Plan. Counselor Cook?
Aye.
Counselor Harris?
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper?
Aye.
Counselor King?
Aye.
Counselor Henderson?
Aye.
Council President Robinson?
Aye.
Mayor Clark?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brad.
All right, and we've got ordinance 2015-005, amending multiple sections of the zoning and community development code, including divisions 1, 2, and 3, as it relates to the regulation of medical marijuana dispensaries and declaring an emergency. Michelle Miller?
Thank you.
Before you get started, Councilor
Actu-
Cook,
So I just, as a, under abundance of caution, I have no direct financial interest in the marijuana industry, but I do, through one of my clients, represent marijuana dispensary workers, and so I'll be recusing myself from the vote tonight. Any discussion?
Thank you, Councilor Cook.
Okay. So for those in the audience who haven't been following this very closely, I want to briefly give a recap on where we are. This is the second reading as well of the proposed ordinance. And so the timeline basically began a little over a year ago with respect to medical marijuana dispensaries, and the states began setting up some regulations for dispensaries and allowed local jurisdictions a chance to impose a moratorium for a year to develop regulations of their own. That expired on May 1st of this year, and Sherwood indeed enacted a moratorium. So starting in February and March, the Planning Commission really dug into this issue and had several work sessions and sought input on regulating dispensaries through online surveys, as well as a public work sessions were held. The Police Advisory Board also reviewed the proposed regulations and provided their comments on April 2nd. We had a public hearing with the Planning Commission on April 14th. And we had our first reading of the ordinance on April 28th. So tonight's hearing is the second reading on the proposed ordinance. And I'll go over the Planning Commission recommendations with you. In your packets, you have an amended attachment 2, which really doesn't change the information provided in that map. It just changed the title of the map as a change. As well as I'd like to propose amending a Scrivener's error that Sylvia caught on page 161 of the proposed language. Number 2C, there's a form instead of and it should be a from. And kind of describe that a little bit more thoroughly. C, 2C in a manner that they are not visible from the public right away. And I ask that that change be accepted as well. So to briefly go over the Planning Commission recommendation, we changed the definitions and allowed for the dispensary definition, as well as some other definitions that relate to the proposed ordinance. The Planning Commission recommends limiting the land use zone to industrial lands only in the general and light industrial areas. They would ask that reduce the allowable maximum size of a dispensary to 3,000 square feet in that zone, and the hours of operation would fall between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. all days of the week. They created a special use category for dispensaries with some criteria that needs to be followed, and the process would be a type 2 land use process, which is a staff level decision with notice to property owners within 1,000 feet. So how that translates to the map before you, the buffers are identified with the school buffers, and that's the state regulations, and the parks buffer, 1,000 feet, are surrounding the green buffers. And the general industrial zones are the light lavender color and the dark lavender. So the ones that are highlighted would be the areas where a dispensary, should one come in for an application, those would be the areas that they would be restricted to those locations. And with that, I'll take any questions that you might have.
Council, any questions?
I have a question as to whether any city has passed an ordinance relative to medical marijuana dispensaries since our last meeting last Tuesday, and what did they do, if you know?
I don't know the exact dates of some. I do know that recently West Lynn implemented a ban. I know that I have learned that Lake Oswego also has implemented a ban that I wasn't aware of. I'm not sure about if it happened within this past week, but there's a lot of jurisdictions making some changes now as this deadline approaches, and not keeping a close eye on a lot of those other jurisdictions. Clackamas County, I believe, did limit the areas as well.
Okay, so we have Westland, Lake Oswego, and Wilsonville who have enacted, in essence, a ban. Is that
They've extended the moratorium
Okay.
and basically are, for lack of a better term, attacking this with the business license aspect. They
Mhm.
have regulations that say that they would not issue a business license to a business that is in violation of federal law, state or federal law, and
right?
that's the approach that they've taken. That seems to be more prevalent in Clackamas County jurisdictions versus Washington County. I think most of the Washington County jurisdictions are doing similar ordinances to what is on the table in front of you tonight. I know Gresham is enacting theirs tonight as well.
Well, there was discussion that the legislature was going to take action last Thursday on preventing jurisdictions from enacting further bans, and so maybe Chad can let us know if that happened. Sounds like it did not, if these jurisdictions are still banning them.
Mayor, members of the council, Chad Jacobs from the City Attorney's Office. That's correct. The committee, the Joint Committee on Implementing Measure 91, did have a proposal before it last week where they, as part of the proposal, they were going to limit the size of grow sites for medical marijuana, as well as place some specific language within the law that expressly preempted local jurisdictions from prohibiting the location of medical marijuana dispensaries within city limits. That was the vote on that. Legislation was put off last week until later this week. I think there's still negotiations going on. I know the League of Oregon Cities is arguing against that. But from what I've heard, it's a trade-off to be able to limit the grow sites. They want to also make sure that medical marijuana is available. Having said that, there are multiple jurisdictions that as you were just discussing, that are looking at this, and notwithstanding the possible preemption in state law, are still moving forward and prohibiting the location of medical marijuana dispensaries within their jurisdiction based on the idea of a federal preemption, that federal law would actually preempt the state law preemption. As you may know, there are currently at least two pieces of litigation related to that matter. one down in Southern Oregon in Cave Junction. They've actually got 2 cases down there, one at the Circuit Court and one at the Court of Appeals, and then a second one in the city of Sandy. And that's basically it. That's at the Circuit Court right now. So, there is a risk for these cities that are doing this that there will be additional litigation. But there's also an idea that some people may wait to see what happens at the Court of Appeals and whether or not this federal preemption issue actually gets decided there.
Any other questions? Thank you. I'll open up the public hearing. We have one, Anthony Bevel. Anyone else that wants to make a comment can fill out a sheet. Anthony, welcome.
Hi, good evening. Last week you wrestled with the medical marijuana and with the recreational marijuana. And I know that, you're wrestling with it with both your head and your heart. Your heart says that, people need this product to alleviate pain. And your head is saying the jump to recreational marijuana, it's right there. It's unavoidable. I understand that. So you're wrestling with it. I think what you have to remember is that, there is no big public outcry for or against, as you can see with the attendance last week. I mean, there's a few people who feel strongly about the issue one way or another, and that's it. I think most of the citizens are saying that we have council members who are going to make the right decision, and I believe you will too. I don't think you have any axes to grind, any vendettas to fill. So I hope once it gets to the point to actually voting, what can I say? It's already, everything has been decided. I agree with everything on the recommendations. I don't agree with how you're limiting as to where they can be located. I think you're giving the impression, again, I've said it, that this is not a valid form of medication, that it's just a sham, that people are just using it for recreational purposes. Well, maybe some will. Anything can be abused. A few heartbeats down the road, you're going to have to deal with the recreational marijuana. And I don't think you're going to have a big public outcry on that either. As far as the recreational marijuana, I think the biggest fear we have for that is our children. And my son's grown. He dealt with it. We dealt with it. No problem. I think what has to be done is we have to educate the public. The public has to be educated, and we have to be parents. I mean, we have to step up and really be parents. If you suspect that, your child is obtaining marijuana one way or another, you're going to have to step up and have a heart-to-heart with your child. I think that's the real issue. I think, we're dealing a lot with, and you hear the term small town fears, and, you hear it a lot. They're legitimate fears, I think, but at the same time, they're fears, and fears, you deal with them in the most knowledgeable way. So I guess I hope you make some good decisions. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Do we have any other public comment? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Bring it back to council. Council?
Well, I'd like to say in response to Tony's comments that I am not in favor of restricting the location to just industrial areas. My preference would be to open it up to both commercial and industrial, but I've also taken the position, as suggested by our Planning Commission chair, that we can always amend it later and expand it into the commercial area. And so with that, I don't think that it's limited to what we can do in the future. And I am in favor of the ordinance as it's written currently, with the expectation that things are going to change over time, especially with the implementation of recreational marijuana in the next year. So I think we are all receptive to meeting the needs of the community if necessary, and if those changes include, more room because we have little industrial area, I would be in favor of that possibility. But for now, I think this is a good structure that we have in place that will, I think, meet the needs of the medical marijuana community. Personally, I am opposed to keeping the facility open on Sundays, but I guess I'm in the minority on that.
I would agree with Sally. I do think that commercial and industrial is more appropriate for the medical marijuana. The one thing that Tony mentioned was there's not a huge outcry. I just kind of want to point out, from my understanding, there was a survey that went out to the city and whoever got it about the medical marijuana dispensaries and the ability to have an opinion. There was less than 200 people that responded to that survey. And in contrast, our chicken survey, over 400 people. So
Actually, it's about 550. So.
over 500 people. So clearly our little town is much more concerned with backyard chickens than medical marijuana. So I do agree that the outcry, especially for the medical marijuana, is not such an issue that we need to be concerned about really offending a large population by passing these ordinances. Personally, if we could do this with alcohol and with tobacco, I'd be all on board. But since we can't, I do support the ordinance as the Planning Commission has written it, with the exception of the industrial land only.
I have to say.
Are we going in this order?
Go ahead.
Councilor Kane, did you have something to say?
I'm not objected to the ordinance the way it's written. Like I said earlier in last meeting, I believe we can always make adjustments to whatever things that we see down the road. So if it doesn't work out, we'll make adjustments. If it does, and we can improve upon it, we'll do that too. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, considering that the state legislature is still sort of mulling over the whole recreational marijuana and hasn't really come down on one side or the other, I think it's prudent to start with the industrial, having it located in an industrial area as it is written in the ordinance. I think the Police Advisory Board, as well as the Planning Commission, did an admirable job of looking through this and piecing through it. They did a lot of hard work and used a lot of gray matter in putting this together. So I think they did a great job. And again, I think the industrial, starting off in the industrial zone is the best way to go. As the other counselors have said, we can always expand it later. So.
Did you have anything to add? I think that caution is the better form of valor. And I think that this is a very cautious plan. I think that it's a good start. I also very much appreciate the Planning Commission and the Police Advisory Board and all the public hearings that we had. I think that we did staff did a great job of outreach to our community to hear and listen and discuss and give lots of opportunity for that. Having a litigation background, I'm not for banning. I think that's a bad idea. I don't think setting the city up for lawsuit is smart. In my personal opinion, I think that this is an issue that is here and we need to deal with it. It is medical marijuana. And I think that the plan that we have is a great starting off point to allow people the opportunity and the ability to buy something that they are prescribed to have for a medical condition. So I am in favor of it and as written, and we'll support it. Did anyone else have any other comments? I'll call for a vote. Sylvia?
Mayor, we need a motion and a
Okay,
second.
sorry.
I move that we read, caption, and adopt ordinance 2015-005, amending multiple sections of the zoning and community development code, including Division 1, 2, and 3, as it relates to the regulation of medical marijuana dispensaries and declaring an emergency.
Second, Sylvia?
Ordinance 2015-005, amending multiple sections of the zoning and community development code, including divisions 1, 2, and 3, as it relates to the regulation of medical marijuana dispensaries and declaring an emergency. Counselor Cook has recused. Counselor Harris?
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper?
Aye.
Counselor King?
Aye.
Counselor Henderson?
Aye.
Council President Robinson?
Aye.
Mayor Clark?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. City manager report.
Mayor and Council, I have 3 quick items just to update you and the folks here and watching on TV. If you didn't know, we are having an election.
What? We are?
Um, the mayor's former council seat, which is currently occupied by Councilor Cook, is now being considered. It's a May 9th election, so get your ballots in. I think many...
19th.
May 19th. What did I say?
9th. It's all right.
May 19th, sorry. I think we all acknowledge the March election only had a little less than 22% of the vote, so... and we're hoping that this election will be a little bit more significant in terms of numbers. Besides the council seat, there is a couple of school board positions that are on the ballot. So, and then I think we're done for a while. I think hopefully
No
in
more
terms
Groundhog's
of
Day?
no more
No more?
elections for a while. So, knock on wood. The other issue you had mentioned, chickens, backyard chickens, is become the hot topic.
Why is it the
among
hot
folks.
topic?
Well, people are talking. It's interesting. So
And utilizing the online tool, which is fantastic.
yes. So a week from tonight, the Planning Commission is going to have a work session at 6 o'clock to talk about the backyard chicken ordinance. They are basically dusting off the one that was drafted about 4 years ago as a starting point. They're out there seeking public input right now, and people are talking and providing input. So.
Good. Oh,
They're
have-
clucking.
Good on Tom.
And then the council will not meet on May 19th. We're about to switch gears and focus on the budget over the next few weeks. My proposed budget is out and is on the website and available. May 13th will be the first budget committee meeting in this room at 6 o'clock. It's 6 to 9 p.m. We are likely not to get through everything in one night. So the next Wednesday, which is May 20th, will be a continuation, same time, 6 to 9. And if necessary, we'll have a third meeting, May 27th from 6 to 9. So we're switching gears and focusing on the budget for the next fiscal year. And we'll not have another meeting in May as normal. So any questions for me or the department heads that are here?
I actually have one question.
Sure.
When can we expect to see? When can we expect to see the latest bark for your park?
Great question, actually. May 13th is the date that cities can go on and nominate themselves as part of the conference or as part of the competition. So we'll be doing that May 13th and probably right before that, promoting that through a variety of means, including our new Facebook and Twitter accounts that recently got launched, among other things. So please tell your friends and neighbors if they are interested. We did really well last year. We almost made it to the semifinals. It's about voting, folks. You get on every day and vote. And
Could you just give kind of a little overview of what it is?
yeah, what
you're
Bark for Your
doing?
Park is a national competition that communities across the nation compete for. The grand prize winner wins $100,000 basically for their dog park. There are, I believe, 3 or 4 runners up of $25,000. And there's about probably a month to 5 weeks of voting. And then if you're in the top, I think 15 across the country, you then become a finalist, and then there's a next stage. And we were very, very close last year. So there is a lot of desire for a dog park. We have plans for the dog park at Snyder Park. It's in the budget. It would nice to be able to bring in outside dollars to help financially support that. And that's really what this contest is. We're not basing the project on winning the dollars. I think some people think we don't have the money for the dog park, so we're trying to participate in this national conference, and that's not the case. We're just trying to leverage those outside dollars and bring some of those dollars here. So
Because if we receive $100,000 for our park, we get to use that money somewhere else.
that's correct. Exactly.
So here we go, Sherwood. Here's another opportunity for an outside source, just like we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
So let's take
So-
the opportunity.
A chicken park. Okay, Counselor.
That'd be a pen, but-
Any other questions? Thank
Any
you
other
for the
questions?
reminder, Council President. So
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Counselor King,
No, I'm done. I'm good.
you're good.
I'm
Okay.
good.
Counselor Harris?
So I want to mention that Sherwood Center for the Arts now has a Facebook page. So if you haven't gone on there and liked that, we would love to have your like. Also, their website is forthcoming. We haven't actually met, so there's not a lot of updates from there. But if you want to check out the Facebook page and soon the website, that would be fantastic. As for the library, they have so much going on all the time. Saturday, they had 2 events, Star Wars Day. I don't know if anyone went to that. My son was very disappointed we didn't make it. But there was a photo op with Stormtroopers, C-3PO, R2-D2, crafts, I know, themed Lego Maniacs programs, and lots of other activities. Plus, they also had their coffee tasting program from Caravan Coffee, which is a local coffee roasters in Newburgh. And they were passing out food samples also from Our Table Collective here in Sherwood. Last night, the library also hosted their Robin Hood Festival Maid Marian coronation and had some performances from the Sherwood Renaissance Singers. I think we'll probably hear more about that.
It was awesome.
Coming up. On Wednesday at 6 p.m. in the community room, John Nakata, which is a Japanese-American internment camp survivor, will be here to talk about his experience. He was incarcerated along with his family through the entire World War II, and he is coming to share some personal stories and talk about how the history has impacted this period and civil rights and that sort of thing. On Thursday at 6 p.m. in the community room, Adam Sawyer will be here with a slideshow and discussions about the hiking waterfalls in Oregon. So if you're an avid hiker, you might want to come to that and learn some new things. Adam is a local Portland outdoor author as well as a photographer. So I'm guessing that slideshow will be pretty great. And then on Saturday, May 16th, we've been talking about this for a long time, but it's finally coming up. Alter Wiener will be here at the Performing Arts Center. He is a Holocaust survivor, and he will be doing his talk at 2 p.m. The doors are opening at 12:30. That is a super, super popular event. He has been here once before and packed the room, overflowing out the doors. We had to turn people away. He had planned on retiring and not speaking publicly anymore, but he was so overwhelmed with the response that he agreed to do one more event for our city. So that is May 16th at 2 p.m. The doors open at 12:30. So I encourage everyone to go to that. That's a pretty unique experience to be able to hear from a Holocaust survivor. And that's all that I have. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Counselor Harris. Council President Robinson?
Just a reminder again, there is an open house for the Sherwood West Concept Plan Citizen Advisory Committee on May 21st. Love to have you come check it out and see what we're talking about. It's quite exciting to see it kind of all come together. Also wanted to give a shout out to our state representatives who appeared before us at the not the medical marijuana, but the recreational marijuana town hall discussion that we had on April 29th. It was very good. We had not only our police chief, we also had the district attorney for Washington County. We had the assistant district attorney, we had the sheriff, we had the OLCC gentleman, and John Davis, I thought, did a great job with the presentation. And he also said that I could use his slideshow if we wanted to have a similar presentation at city council meeting. So if we're interested in that, we can do that. But I thought it was really good, and it's beginning the discussion, and quite frankly, it's a little overwhelming because it's a much more complex issue than medical marijuana. So they don't anticipate that it will really get up and rolling until mid to late next year. So we look forward to participating in that, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Council President?
Oh, yes. Okay. I too had a chance to attend the recreational marijuana discussion. It was excellent. My takeaway from that is that, again, the state's still grappling with how to manage and monitor the growing distribution and reuse of recreational marijuana. So it's a good thing that the cities don't need to address that just yet. So stay tuned for that. The news on the Parks and Recreation Board front is quite fun and very good, I have to say. The HHPR, I think, is the name of the consultant that's working with the city on developing the plans for Woodhaven Park Phase 2. We had a design charrette where the public could come in and take a look at what was planned for the park, made some adjustments. The final design plan was approved by the Parks and Recreation Board yesterday. It looks fabulous. One of the elements that I wanted to tell everyone about was quite creative by the company that we're using, HHPR, and that was there's a part of the park where children and dogs and everyone else, I'm assuming, is sort of running down the back of a hill that's very close to a sandbox. And so the idea was, how are we going to make a ramp or stairway down from where that sandbox location is down to a path, because there's a design path that goes all the way around the park, about 0.42 miles. So if you run around this park twice, you'll get in a mile run. Anyway, the design, which was pretty exciting, was they decided to make multiple ways to get down the hill. One of them was a slide. Another one is a climbing wall, and then your stairs. So there's quite an opportunity for enhanced play, imaginative play, going down the hill, getting back up the hill, using a slide, and using some other structures that don't really, the elements to the park is not really incrementally small. So we thought it was a great plan. I think it's going to be a great neighborhood park. So look for that to be permitted through midsummer, and then I believe the bid package will go out maybe sometime in September for that. The dog park plans are coming along as well. That is in the budget we'll be looking at, and you should hear more about that in the coming months, but the construction should be starting on that sometime this summer. A couple of other things. Thoroughly Modern Millie, for those of you who had a chance to go see some outstanding high school talent, every year it just blows me away, the musical talent of the students there, and also the kids behind the scenes. The orchestra is fantastic. Two weekends of fantastic shows of Thoroughly Modern Millie. Yeah, I think Sherwood High School is on the map. It's amazing. Friends of the Refuge is having the Songbird Festival on May 16th. There will be no chickens at the Songbird Festival. However, if you would like to go watch the birds and talk to some naturalists and then go see Alter Wiener at 12:30, join in there. It'll be a full fun day in Sherwood. And then one last item, as if the Thoroughly Modern Millie musical was not enough, coming up, and not this weekend, but next weekend, is the Voices for the Performing Arts, Friday night and Saturday night. Some of the same students that you see that perform so incredibly well at Thoroughly Modern Millie will again be doing some show-stopping dancing numbers again, along with the Sherwood Chorale next weekend, or not this coming weekend, but the weekend of the 15th and 16th. So thank you, and thank you all for coming.
Do you have times for the Songbird Festival?
I believe it starts at 9. Yeah.
Yep.
Probably to 1, maybe.
9 to 1, 9 to 2, yep.
Okay. You could probably find it on the website.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
great. Thank you. Counselor Cook?
So actually, and I was asked to remind, celebrating the National Police Week, there was some suggestions by members of the community that we include activities regarding child safety, including helmet safety, bike safety, car seat safety, particularly helmet safety as we're getting into the biking season, to remind kids out there that they need to wear their bike helmets when they're riding to be safe. I also wanted to give a shout out to Representative Davis and Senator Thatcher. They're going to be hosting Troop 224 from here in Sherwood tomorrow at the state capitol, and we're going to have about 11 boys who will get an opportunity to, go into the rotunda and take the tour of the building and meet with their state legislators as part of one of the activities they do for their merit badges. And I'm very excited to have them in the building. And also wanted to just follow up on my question to the Haggins employees regarding the light at that complex. I continue to be concerned about the impact it would have on both that development and the one across the street. So, it's just part of a continuing conversation I know we're having with the county, but it is something I continue to be very concerned about. So,
Thank you. Counselor Henderson?
Couple of items. Senior Center is having a Mother's Day lunch. It's actually breakfast for lunch this Friday. And that is in partnership with Roses, who is bringing in a dessert bar. So I'm under the impression that there won't be an empty seat in the house. If you can have breakfast for breakfast or lunch, and then a dessert bar, I
Winner.
think,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there an age?
Pardon?
Can anyone go?
I'm going. No, there's no age limit. But seriously, you might want to come first, first come, first serve. We had a steering committee meeting last week, and the center is on par for its fundraising obligation. However, the congregate meals are down, as well as Meals on Wheels are down, and that is not unique to Sherwood. They're seeing that all over the service district that that Meals on Wheels serves, and not really sure why, but it's happening. I was there today, and there were 5 tables. Maybe there were 6 tables. So it was a pretty good group today, but today was bingo, so, bingo always brings them out. And I was just trying to look up, as Councilor Cook was talking, History Camp. The Sherwood Historical Society has a great camp every year, History Camp, and I think it's the 4th weekend in June. I went to their site, but they don't have it listed. So I think it's the 23rd through the 26th, and I do believe they also offer scholarships if there are members of the community who have kids or multiple kids and they're in need of assistance. The Historical Society is open Tuesday and Saturdays. Again, they should be getting something on their website soon for History Camp. And Thoroughly Modern Millie was thoroughly enjoyable. And tonight is the first rehearsal for Into the Woods, which is a summer musical that we'll be holding down at Stella Wilson Park on the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th of July for the Sherwood Foundation for the Arts. And want to thank staff as I filled out the special events permit. Kelsey was very helpful, and every year I think that we're streamlining that and getting more and more efficient. However, I wanted to just give some feedback to staff that requiring a $2 million liability policy is becoming a challenge for nonprofits. So just to let you know that. We have currently we've had $1 million policy, never had a claim, knock on wood. But $2 million for a nonprofit is a pretty high, when you're not serving alcohol, which begs me wonder, maybe I should consider partnering with the Historical Society as they do for Music on the Green. But just wanted to give some feedback that I was talking to my agent this morning, and I was the first nonprofit to be required to have a $2 million policy. So just wanted to let you know. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So Last week, I was not here I was very sad to have not been here for the John Davis and Senator Thatcher, but I was diligently working hard all week in DC for the city. And I have to give a giant shout out to Julia, who accompanied me on this trip. It's a lobbying trip every year. JPACT, all the Washington County, Clackamas County, Metro come together and lobby all of our federal legislators for money to come to Oregon. And it's kind of one of those opportunities that if you don't ask, you don't receive. So it is a very high pressure, high intensity opportunity to talk to federal legislators, and you have to get their attention like that and get in your thank yous. We were very fortunate by lobbying in the past to get a $200,000 EPA grant for our Brownsfield assessment. And so I took the opportunity to thank each and every legislator that I got a hold of for that, and then additionally put the plug in that, hey, by the way, we'd like another $200,000 for the cleanup, which is next. And so each one of the staff people wrote that down and took that to heart. I also asked for additional funding for our Cedar Creek Trail. We have funds to do the trail, but we do not have funds to take care of the crossing to 99, which is a little bit of a difficulty to get across to our National Wildlife Refuge. I highlighted with my pin that why we want to cross 99 is we want to get people to our National Wildlife Refuge, that we are very, very fortunate to have only one of two. So they were very impressed by that and wrote that down. And so that was another thing that we jumped right on, and also talked to them about the Tonquin employment area, that we will need some additional funds there. And I have to say that Congresswoman Bonamici was fantastic, took the time to speak with me about the things that were near and dear to our heart. She had just come out to see our Sherwood Center for the Arts, and so I put the plug in that now that we have it, we could use some help in funding programming, which is out there. And so we also saw varying federal agencies and lobbied them for, what do we need to do to ask for monies from the different federal agencies. And this is our opportunity to do that. And I just want to thank Julia for really working incredibly hard. It's something that is above and beyond, because it's from the early wee hours until late at night, not only lobbying our legislators, but our federal reps in the different departments, and also our other local representatives, our different metro councilors, and Washington County mayors and Washington County commissioners. So it was, I think, very fruitful. I think we got a lot done. We asked for funding and transportation because the earmarks are now gone, and so we are not receiving the funding. ODOT's getting it all, and we are responsible for maintaining the roads, but are not getting the funding to do that. So we were asking for their support in helping us try to fit that round peg into that square hole that we're kind of left with. So they were very, very open, and even had the chance to throw down the gauntlet at Markley and say, Bonamici's already been here. Just saying. She's seen our Center for the Arts. Come on over. And so I'm really hoping they were super, very welcoming, incredibly kind, and very, very open to all of our requests. And I think that they are the reason that we get this funding, is making a personal connection with them and them going to the EPA and to the different jurisdictions and saying, hey, we think you should give the money to Sherwood. So that's how it works. And so I thank Julia for working double time for me, and also for the help in lobbying these different districts. When I came back, I was super excited on Monday to go to the coronation that you talked about. The ladies were amazing, and I talked to them about this is your service to our community, and we are so proud of you. for standing up and shouting out Sherwood for us. And it was a beautiful coronation, and I was really glad to have been asked to come. Lovely ladies. I wanted to just shout out that the Center for the Arts has been being used. I talked about it. It was scheduled for the Art of the Story grand finale. Well, it's scheduled again on Friday for the Washington County Tourism Luncheon. And so I think that our staff is doing a great job of making sure that we're utilizing that center. This Saturday, I wanted to just make just an announcement that Sherwin-Williams, that's over in the Safeway complex, is going to be having their grand opening noon to 3. So come on over there. I think that they're going to have all kinds of, kids activities, and the gal that came from Sherwin-Williams to the chamber was pretty excited about having this for our citizens. Oh, free bucket or paintbrush. Okay, all right, you heard it here first, Sherwin-Williams. Since we're not going to have a meeting between now and Sunday, May 17th, I also wanted to announce that there is going to be also at our Sherwood Center for the Arts a When Kids Are Hurting presentation, what parents and families can do. It's a free forum from a local counselor, Tara Matson. It's to discuss depression, social media, self-harm, low self-esteem, anxiety, and brain development. So there will be an opportunity for discussion, and I highly recommend that if you are able to come to this free forum. Joe already talked about the election. Let's get more than 20%. Come on now, we can do it. And I think that that's all that I have. Thank you very much, you guys. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? We are adjourned.